This is Shelly Swichelle and the fire again. Yo, this is Shelly Swichelle and the fire again. We got to nice up the world.
Read more a la música. Baila el ritmo.
Shelly.
Do you feel the rhythm that's taking over? Do you know music ignites a happy feeling? Do you want to mueve tu cuerpo? Come, let's go. Move your body to the beat of the rhythm. Move your body, just move your body. Ritmo a la música. Move your body, just move your body. Baila, baila el ritmo. Come on, everybody, we're feeling fine. Come on, everybody, let's move in time. Groove to the rhythm when you hear the beat. Groove to the rhythm, let's move your feet.
Como que venga todo el mundo que esto es pa' gozar. Con tu fire Shelly vamos a bailar. Un paso para adelante y otro para atrás. Con la kimbala, esto va a explotar. Venga todo el mundo que esto es pa' gozar. Con tu fire Shelly vamos a bailar. Un paso para adelante y otro para atrás. Con la kimbala, que es la king, mamá.
Do you
Buena señorita.
feel the rhythm on your feet now? Do you know music unites the world together? Do you want to mueve tu cuerpo? Come, let's go. Move your body to the beat of the rhythm.
Ven señorita, ven mamacita.
Ritmo a la música.
Ven mamacita, ven mamacita.
Baila, baila el ritmo.
Tú sabes que
Let's move your body, move it.
los cueros ahí me condenan.
Move your body, groove it.
Bendón.
Move your body, move
Ven
it.
señorita, ven mamacita.
Shake your hips to the music.
Bendón.
Jamming together.
Bendón.
Feeling the fever. Hips just a moving. One love forever. Baila el ritmo. Jamming together. One love together. Jamming together. Come on, everybody, we're feeling fine. Come on, everybody, let's move in time. Groove to the rhythm when you hear the beat. Groove to the rhythm, let's move your feet.
Actívate, mamita, que esta vaina sí está buena. 1, 2, 3, suelta la cadera en Panamá, Trinidad y hasta Venezuela. Cuando te ven bailando, y sálvese quien pueda, señorita. La pista está candela. Los cueros, ahí me condenan. Ven, señorita, ven, mamacita. Bendón. Que venga todo el mundo que te pa' gozar. Con tu fire Shelly vamos a bailar. Un paso para adelante y otro para atrás. Con la kimbala, esto va a explotar.
Come on, everybody. Come on, everybody. On fire. Let's move your body, move it.
Los cueros, ahí me
On
condenan.
fire. Move your body, groove it.
Bendón.
Move your body, move
Ven,
it.
señorita, ven, mamacita.
Shake your hips to the music. Jamming together. Feeling the fever. Hips just a moving. One love forever. Baila el ritmo. Jamming together. One love together. Jamming together. Baila
Yo,
el ritmo.
this is Shelly Swichelle and the fire again. And the fire again.
Sweet shirts.
There you go.
It's lunchtime and the Brooklyn Cafe is open for business. Live from the Amp Media Studios, Dawn and Freddie S. and their team are ready to serve up a huge portion of fun for lunch with friends and neighbors. So let's break open that lunch pail and unwrap that sandwich you brought and take a front row seat in the Brooklyn Cafe and get ready to enjoy some humor and hot topics. It's time to get a healthy serving of hope and happiness to help your day go by with a smile. Your hosts, Dawn and Freddie S., are ready to talk about food, health, dating, or just plain dream making. If you have a story to share, movie review, restaurant critique, or just a coincidental thing that happened to you, call in toll free 888-994-4995, Studio A right now. Sit back and enjoy your lunch break at the Brooklyn Cafe. Here are your hosts, Dawn and Freddie S.
Welcome to the Brooklyn Cafe on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. What? Yes, I have my earring in.
Agent man.
Take it easy. Welcome, welcome, welcome to all our friends. It's been an interesting day.
It's been a great
A
day.
lot of stuff. We got everything. We got new headphones. We got new stuff.
Got all kinds of things we're working on. We got the crew on point. We got a great interview lined up for you today. We're talking with Dr. Alexander Earl of Pure Plastic Surgery in Miami Beach. We're talking about the Brazilian butt lift, the safety of the BBL. And I have to tell you, that is something I have not yet considered doing. So I'm really looking forward to this interview because it gives me something else to consider.
Don't make me laugh.
It's true.
Don't-
I've never thought about
Don't
doing
make
a
me
BBL.
laugh. First of all,
A BBL.
I got to get a butt to be able to lift. So I got to talk about
I got plenty of booty over here, I got to tell you, but I've never
got no
thought of
booty.
lifting it, so it's an interesting concept.
please.
So we've got Paul Solomon of Luhu Senior Advisors coming in. I believe we should have Marketing Director of All County Healthcare joining us as well, with maybe the new owner, Delroy Clark. We're going to be talking about seniors, a whole lot of healthcare today, but on totally opposite spectrums.
Shall we bring Doc on? Because you know Doc is busy.
Yes,
He's
so-
got to go. What a job! I gotta see if I can get a gig with him.
With Dr. Alexander
Oh,
Earl.
absolutely.
We've got Dr. Earl's show airing tonight at 7 o'clock on WWNN, episode 3 of the month. So let's bring Dr. Earl over. He is joining us remotely. Good morning, good afternoon.
Gotta turn his sound on.
Let's see.
All right, do we hear Doc? Doc, you hear us? Yes?
You hear
Okay.
us. Are we muted or is he muted over there, Slick?
Here's sound, please.
Okay, you got to check your tech, guys. We think you're muted on your end.
You muted yourself.
He hears us.
We were working great a half hour ago. Nope.
Go back to you guys, but
Is the board on? He has his sound?
the sound was on previously.
All right, he just.
Let's try it again.
No, try it again. Tell him to log back in. Log back in.
Check the audio.
They're telling us to log back in because it looks like your sound
We were
defaulted
good a
to
half
something
hour
else.
ago.
Yeah.
Wait, she turned the speaker on? No, she turned her speaker on. Her
Make sure that his green button's on.
everything's on. His
It's on.
audio's on. We're gonna try this again.
So, Doc, if you can hear us, log in again. It looks like your sound defaulted because you plugged something in after you were on.
Log in again.
That's what it is.
So go back to the one shot.
All right, so
Okay.
he's gonna reboot.
All right, let's see
All right,
what
so we
happens.
stay on these. Might as well.
We can. We're gonna talk about the Brazilian butt list when we have Dr. Alexander Earl join us, and so
I'm
that's
gonna-
tonight's show, I
I'm gonna
think.
tell you, I'm wearing my ears. It sounds pitch perfect.
It's a beautiful
No
thing.
gain, no sand, no winds, no bus, no more.
We have Sarah running
I
audio.
am drinking to celebrate.
That's a
It's
beautiful
like a
thing.
small victory.
Small. Well, I want to get the victor. I want to get Dr. Earl on. And
Hello,
we had-
hello.
There he goes. All right, let's bring
Ah,
him
let's
over.
bring him over.
Perfect.
Okay. All right.
How you doing, Doc?
All right. Good afternoon. You guys can hear me okay now?
Perfect.
We hear you perfectly.
It's a pleasure to meet you. We've been watching the videos every Tuesday night that we're airing from WNN and streaming on our platform. So much fascinating information that you're putting out there, things that I've never even thought about in the world of plastic surgery.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, we try to, put up a lot of educational content. Really, it's mostly, for our patients to make sure that when they come in, they kind of know what to expect and they're educated on the journey they're about to embark.
Where are you located? Where is your office?
So our office is called Pure Plastic Surgery, and we're here in Miami, Florida, specifically kind of in the Kendall region on Sunset and 93rd.
I know it well. I went to you. It's all about the U.
That's right. That's right. Go Canes.
Down in my neck of the woods. I used to live down there. You know it well.
I have an NYU.
Yeah. Well, I went to NYU as well. That's where I did my med school.
There you go.
Let's
Look at
get
that.
2 for
The
1.
best of both worlds, NYU, and he's
That's
down by
right.
the U.
Doc, I gotta
Two-
tell you, if you need an intern to work with you, I carry rubber gloves, anything you need, because I just admire. First of all, I admire what you do for a living, but you have a creative twist, because I'm the one, I get to see everything that we produce and we get to watch and everything else. And I gotta tell you, 22 minutes of what you're doing goes like this.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, no, that's right. But no, we certainly have a spot here for you whenever you want to come down. We'll be more than happy to have you.
There you go. We should take a road trip.
Road trip. Gotta go.
That's right.
Absolutely. I love last week's episode about the mommy makeover. Again, things that you don't think about until you think about it. And this is for young women. This is pretty much after you're done having all of your children we talked about, or would you do it in between childbearing years?
Yeah. Yeah, so no, ideally you would do it after you're kind of done having children, you know, your family's complete. And then at that point in time, pregnancy takes it's a beautiful thing, but it takes a toll on the body, especially on the breast and in the abdominal area. So that's what the mommy makeover addresses. It addresses, the abdominal area, the musculature, as well, the excess skin, and then of course, the breasts that have changed a lot, with the pregnancy and the breastfeeding as well. So just to kind of give back some of that youthful appearance that the mothers had before they started having children.
Things you don't realize that you just think, oh, it's part of childbirth. And I really had stopped thinking about, it's been a long time since I've had kids, right? People looking, women go, ah, this is my body, this is what it is, I've had kids, I'm going to embrace it. But it's not that you're going to look like the next supermodel, you're just going to be a younger, better version of yourself, correct?
Yeah, it's kind of like, you can think about it kind of like resetting the clock. So, 9 months of pregnancy, breastfeeding, everything else, it takes a toll on the body. Even if, you do your very, very best to keep up with your exercise and nutrition and everything else. So it's kind of trying to, reset the clock back to kind of before the first pregnancy, repairing the muscles that have been stretched out, removing all the excess skin, and then, perking up the breast to a more youthful appearance once again.
I like the change in philosophy because people get this done. Normally, they do it young in age. Like, I don't understand, but they do it in their 20s. And he's doing it after you've given birth and everything else to get that mental aspect back. And I think that is so vital, especially in towns like Florida, Miami,
Yep.
New York City, where everything, the shoes have to be impeccable. Everything has to be impeccable. And if you don't feel good about yourself, you always go downwards. So he gives you an option to change these things.
To get you back to a different
Yeah.
version, your better version of where you felt before you had children.
It's
Right.
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, nothing fits better than self-confidence. So, you're talking about the clothes and everything else, but it's really about, the woman's, confidence and self-esteem. And once you bring that back, they feel great then, wherever they are, New York or Miami.
Absolutely true. And we want to talk about the Brazilian butt lift. Now, you have a piece on your Facebook page. Everyone can follow it at Pure Plastic Surgery, talking about the Brazilian butt lift versus the South Beach.
That's right. So, the South Beach butt lift is kind of our signature procedure here. It's what we've done to upgrade your traditional Brazilian butt lift. So, what is a Brazilian butt lift? Well, it's typically we do liposuction and then we use some of that fat and transfer it to the hip and buttocks to create a curvier figure or a more youthful figure to those areas. Now with the South Beach, what we've done is we've really, really worked hard to make sure that all the incisions are completely hidden, such that if you go out on South Beach, wearing a small bikini, nobody would know. There's no visible incisions that could be seen. And we like to create a very beautiful, very kind of enhanced, natural look where people will be guessing whether the patient had a procedure or not.
Our crew, they're enjoying
They're
this
laughing.
conversation
Yeah.
in the production room right now.
But you got to think about it because guys always say, is that like normal? I mean, that is like so perfect.
So that's my question. You're using the liposuction and you're removing excess fat and tissue, or you're just moving it, you're removing some and then you're moving some of it around?
Yeah, so you can think of it like kind of a two-step procedure. So the first step, which is the liposuction, and that typically we're doing it to the entire torso, so all the belly, the sides, the back. kind of contouring that area, making the waist as, small as possible. And then we, instead of, whereas before you would just kind of throw that fat away, now we then transfer that fat into, the areas where we want it, such as the hips and the buttock area. And then that way actually it becomes a very, very powerful procedure. We can really transform the body, create a nice hourglass shape from the front, kind of an upside down heart look to the buttock from the back. And it really, really kind of, enhances, the natural beauty of the patient's body.
Doc, I got to ask you, how long does it last, or is it permanent?
Well, that's a great thing. So we're using, the patient's own fat. So once, everything's done and they settle, which takes about 3 to 4 months, pretty much it can last forever. Of course, now the caveat is that the patient, needs to take some ownership and, of course, maintain a healthy diet, healthy exercise program, things of that nature. So I never say, surgery is a substitute for diet or exercise. It's kind of an additive. I think you get the best results when you add all three things together, proper nutrition, exercise program, and of course, some enhancements with the surgery itself.
And what about a lift where people are doing butt implants? Do you do that as well?
Yeah.
Or you do that also?
So I don't do that personally. So that's
Okay.
that is a different procedure. There, you're actually using these silicone implants. You can, kind of like breast implants.
Right.
Of course, they're shaped differently. The issue with those is that historically they've had a lot of issues because as opposed to breast, you're always like sitting on the buttock and things like that. So that leads to like wound problems, infections. Sometimes the implants move around. So it's not a great solution. So I typically don't do that procedure.
So that goes back to the safety of the Brazilian butt lift in the South Beach that you're doing. So you're not putting a fake implant in. It's truly your own body, your tissue, and your own fat.
Yeah, that's correct. And then, so the BBL has, kind of two reputations. One, it's very, very popular. So, Kim K, a lot of celebrities out there have done it and it's become very, very popular. But on the downside, when it first was being done, the fat was being placed in an area that was dangerous, where if you injured a vessel, the fat could travel to the lungs and potentially the patient, could pass away. And the mortality rate was way, way too high.
Wow.
Fortunately, that has changed very, very much in the past, since about 2017, 2018 or so. We've learned a lot. We know now that where we need to place the fat so that it's not in the, that dangerous area. But we do one thing differently here at Pure that not everybody does, just as an added kind of layer of safety for this procedure. And that is that we use ultrasound imaging. So we have a handheld ultrasound, which can actually shows us where the instrument that we use to place the fat, exactly where it is. And so basically it turns a blind procedure into one where we can see. And now when we know exactly where we're placing that fat, we know that we're in the safe space and that, there's not going to be any issues with injuring vessels and the fat traveling to the lungs or anything like that.
You see, I was going to ask Doc about infections or things that can go wrong, but now he just removed that question because, and I got to tell you, I don't think every doctor that does plastic surgery does what you just described, correct?
That's right. So yeah, not everyone does the ultrasound. If you have, a lot of experience, years and years of experience, perhaps you can do it through feel. And I think, I've done about 2,000 BBLs myself. And I could very well say I could do it through feel, but why not add, a technology where you can actually see things and turn a blind procedure to one where you actually know exactly where you are, adding that extra layer of safety for our patients, making sure that fat's not going to go anywhere you don't want it to go.
Now, will that fat stay where you put it?
Yes. So then there is a settling process, about 3 to 4 months, where things kind of settle down a little bit. But yes, once you place it in the safe space in that area, that's where it stays. It will not go and will not migrate. It will not go anywhere else.
And what is recovery time?
So that's the thing. Recovery is tough in the sense that you can't sit directly in your buttock for about 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah. And so you have to use a special pillow. It's called the BBL pillow. And so when you sit, this pillow kind of puts all the pressure in the thighs and relieves any pressure to the buttock or hips. And then most of these patients have to sleep face down for those first 6 weeks, which can sometimes be uncomfortable as well. So it is definitely a commitment that you're making, especially in those first 6 weeks. But after that, you can then go back to all your regular activities. You can go back to working out and everything else after those first 6 weeks.
Do you do all types of general plastic surgery, or is this, or the BBL and the mommy makeover some of your specialties?
I would definitely say those are my top two, top two for sure. But no, I do pretty much any plastic surgery related to the body. So I'm not like a nose guy or a face guy, but definitely, you know, whatever needs, you know, whatever's breast, abdomen, you know, liposuction, hips, buttock, that basically body plastic surgery. You know, we're excellent at. But I would say if you say what are my top two procedures, those would be the top two.
From the neck down. And it's interesting, you don't realize that different plastic surgeons have different specialties,
I see that.
right? So if you're
Yeah.
looking for rhinoplasty, then Dr. Earl would not be the one to go to, but yet anything from the neck down, definitely the man.
But do you work on men
That's
and
right.
women or just women?
No, we work on men and women. So, I mean, it just turns out that most of our practice is female. But definitely we can do many of these, you know, similar procedures to men. One of the most common ones for men is what we call gynecomastia surgery. So, you know, when there's, you know, too much kind of breast enlargement for whatever reason, changes in weight or hormonal issues, that can sometimes be embarrassing to the male. So we then reduce that to make the chest, you know, look more like a male chest. And that's a pretty common kind of body type plastic surgery procedure for men. I would say that's probably number one, and number two is liposuction for men as well.
And I bet in Miami you've got a whole different demographic than someplace else. Even up here, Miami's a totally different demographic.
And yes, in terms of the patients,
Men wanting more plastic surgery,
I think that
different butt
I-
lifts.
men have such
Yeah.
a ego. They won't ask doc. Hey doc, you know, I got a little problem here.
yeah, no, I think in the demographics are interesting, and so I think in Miami you do get more men, and you do get more men doing the body procedures because, you know, there's a lot of being out on the beach, being out without your shirt on, right, being out on the boat, as opposed to say New York City, where men are getting plastic surgery, but they're doing more of the facial stuff. So they're kind of doing their neck lift, you know, tucking in the neck, doing a little bit more injectables and, you know, Botox and things like that.
He's the doctor of the stars. You know, I've been doing this business 15 years, and there are things that I would like to fix.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm saying it on the air.
I have not
But
heard
I'm
this
gonna
yet,
tell-
Dr.
But I'm going to tell you why I say it on the air. I trust him.
Yes.
I mean, and
All
I've
right.
met plenty of doctors in the 15 years that I've done this.
Dare I ask what you would want to have done?
I know. I'm going to talk to my doctor. Don't have to talk to you.
All right.
Because I don't want nobody to know what I'm doing.
Although I think a lot of it is maintenance. And if you do it as you progress in life, you don't suddenly look at yourself at 80 and have everything done. And then people say, oh, but generally a little bit here, a little bit
Yeah,
there.
but in our business, you know, we are constantly doing maintenance
Constantly.
and this and that.
True.
We talked about the hat. I got to get a new hat.
True.
So why not take care of me that does what I do? I mean, we do this 3 hours a day.
And I would venture to say Dr. Earl is bilingual.
That's right. Yeah. So I speak Spanish as well. Mom is Cuban. Dad is British. So I'm kind of a mix there. And grew up mostly in Puerto Rico,
¿De qué parte?
en el área de San Juan, el condado.
Oh, Condado, San Juan. Is that in a nice area up there? Yo soy de Humacao.
Ah, ok. Sí, mis padres están retirados allá, en Palmas del Mar.
Oh, that's
Ahí en Humacao.
I worked in Palmas when I was in high school. My father worked there when they were building it. He's right next
Oh,
to
wow.
me.
Okay.
Right next to me. Wow, small world, man.
So I'm thinking maybe we can do
That's
a
right.
spot on Fuego with Dr. Earl.
Oh, absolutely. We have to do a spot on Fuego.
Maybe
And
we
I-
can have Lucky interview. We have a show that we do. It's called Fuego. It's all in Spanish to reach the Hispanic community.
Oh, nice. No, yeah, that would be excellent. We could talk about this or other things definitely in Spanish. I would look forward to it.
My very first production 13 years ago was from Puerto Rico, from Fajardo, when the hotel was there. And I shot it back to a radio station, a different number. I'm not going to mention it. And it worked. But it was from Puerto Rico. That was my very first. Doctors that are Hispanic are a different flavor. Did you know that? Did you know that?
Different cultures.
Different everything. They do merengue when they're doing surgery.
You keep the music going, huh?
That's right. Well, we definitely listen to music in the OR. We do a little bit of a mix. There's definitely some merengue, some salsa there, some reggaeton, but then we also, throw in some 90s rock and some R&B and everything else. So we like to mix it up back in the OR. Some country music as well.
He loves you love what you do, and you can tell by the way he described the buttocks and how when you look, it's like a heart upside down. So I have to ask you,
That's right.
what was the deciding factor for you to go into plastic surgery?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I didn't know this wasn't like kids' dream from the get-go. I got into medicine. I definitely knew when I wanted to be a surgeon. I like to work with my hands, not just with my mind. So I knew kind of the clinic or the lab was not for me. But when you start doing your rotations, I noticed that plastic surgery is really one of the only specialties where you're kind of putting things back together again. You're kind of restoring form and function. So as opposed to surgery for cancer or anything else where you're removing the offending organ or removing the tumor, you're kind of destroying something, and you have to save a life. But the one specialty where you're actually putting things back together again, restoring the form and function, trying to bring that confidence and that self-esteem back to the patient, that's plastic surgery, and that's what I love about it.
Now, will you work with patients post-cancer and reconstruction?
So not so much anymore, but because right now, I'm in private practice here at Pure. But prior to that, I worked for 5 years in Cleveland Clinic here in Florida, in Weston. Mm-hmm. And that practice was essentially all cancer reconstruction, mostly for breast cancer, but also kind of facial reconstruction after skin cancers to the face and things like that. So, I did reconstructive plastic surgery for a long, long time.
And if people want a consultation, what is the best way to reach out to you?
The best way is to go to our website, so www.pureplasticsurgery.com. Right through there, you can actually do your entire virtual consultation right through the website there.
Wow.
It's very, very easy. Yeah, I know, right? Modern times. So you put in information, sends the photos, I evaluate everything. During COVID times, you weren't seeing people in the office, so we had to find a virtual way of doing things. Through there, you can set up a video consult if you like. And now that, things are starting to get a little bit better, we're opening back up for in-person. So, our coordinators are happy to set that up as well.
Makes it easy, too.
Fantastic.
That's right.
One more question before I let you go. Insurance versus private pay?
Well, everything we do here at Pure is all private pay, so no insurance. But we do have a whole bunch of different, financing options and everything else to help the patients along if they need it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Alexander Earl. More to come tonight at 7 o'clock on WWNN. It's a pleasure to meet you personally.
All right. The pleasure's been all mine. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Have a great day.
That was great stuff.
Bye-bye.
I got to tell you, I'm really, as a guy, I'm thinking. I'm not going to tell you what I'm thinking.
This is the man that didn't want to be on camera 6 years ago. So for all of you that only heard his voice from afar when we started, we've come a long way.
But the game changes. There are a couple of nicks and tucks.
Things are where they used to be, right?
Well, when you do this long enough, right, you want to stay on top of your game because it becomes a young man's game, and all of a sudden you get Rocky Gibraltar. He walks in. And even his walk has a walk, And I think I may have to call Doc up. It doesn't have to be a lot, but I may have to call him.
So he's from a town right near you, huh?
His parents are living in Palmas de Mar, which my town, I'm up in the mountains looking at Palmas down. And my uncles and everybody that in my family is there. I used to work there in the restaurants.
Don't you have uncles that are physicians in Puerto Rico?
I was going to tell him that, but maybe I'd tell him that
have a
when we
side
do the
conversation.
Spanish.
It would
Yeah.
be a nice piece to do in Spanish.
It would be. I think that Latino men just are kind of shy having a conversation. I know I would be.
But wouldn't you feel comfortable going to a Latino
First time in
physician?
13 years, I feel comfortable with this
Right.
guy. He seems honest. He's giving the facts. He tells you the downside and the upside. He's not saying I'm the greatest that walks on water. He's saying, listen, I'm good, and these are the downs, and this is what you can do.
Well trained, NYU and the Cleveland Clinic.
And how can you go wrong when he's an NYU alumni? but I'm really serious. There are some things that he made me think about that he makes it sound easy. Painful
Wow.
nonetheless, but easy.
Wow, a whole new side of Freddie. All right, let's take a commercial break. When we come back, we've got Luhu. We've got Paul Solomon of Luhu Senior Advisors joining us. Maybe we've got All County joining us. I'm hoping John Kelly and
We'll see.
Delroy come in. We'll see who stops in. Give us a call at the studio, 888-994-4995, Studio A. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Justin Mooney is special counsel of the Florida office of Hinman, Howard & Cattell Attorneys. Justin's practice focuses on tax, estate planning, guardianship, probate, and trust administration. His passion is to provide clients with sophisticated estate plans which carry out their wishes, reduce any potential taxes, and preserve wealth for future generations. The attorneys of Hinman, Howard & Cattell provide first-class legal services and have achieved a reputation for excellence for over a century, staying on the leading edge of the law. When you need representation or legal counsel, contact Justin Mooney at 561-276-1008 or jmooney@hhk.com.
Hey everyone, I'm Lady Ashley and this is my husband, Big John.
The muscle behind the hustle.
We are the creators of this very unique party planning business, Lady Ashley Party Planning. We are known for all the details. We specialize in gorgeous balloon decor, floral displays, and handle all of your party planning needs from A to Z.
Please feel free to visit our website at ladyashleypartyplanning.com. Our email is abpartyplanning@yahoo.com, and our phone number is 561-542-2296.
Cool, calm, collected. Needing a drink to end a long day, or maybe to start your vacation right? Gubba Rum is here to let you kick back and do just that. Inspired by a technique that dates back to the 1800s, these artisanal, organic, and naturally infused rums are made from pure cane and the finest fruits, spices, and herbs the world has to offer. Gubba Silver is infused with naturally shredded coconut, and Gubba Gold is infused with real vanilla bean. Simply shake and enjoy. Visit gubbarum.com to find the nearest location to buy or enjoy. All establishments have personally reviewed and enjoyed firsthand the wicked smoothness of Gubba Rum. 35% ABV and 70 proof. Gubba Rum, it's wicked smooth.
Planning for the future should not be painful and needs to be discussed. From health, family, finances, allow qualified professionals to aid in your planning. Luhu Advisors have been serving South Florida for over 30 years. A licensed real estate broker, insurance agent, assisted living administrator, and certified senior advisor, Paul Solomon is the most qualified and well-rounded advisor for any task. Specializing in real estate, long-term care, life insurance and annuities, Social Security, government benefits, and senior housing. Luhu Advisors. Let us help you. Welcome to Sunshine Senior Solutions, a trusted medical supply company that puts patients first, offering quality home medical equipment and supplies. Sunshine Senior Solutions is here to help simplify the lives of patients, caregivers, and their families. From canes and crutches to diabetic glucose monitors, your health, safety, and comfort is our #1 priority. Call or visit our website, Sunshine Senior Solutions, bringing the heart back to healthcare.
You've been watching the Brooklyn Cafe Show. Join us each day and after hours as we talk about the hot topics to open the conversations and share a few laughs. Now, back to Dawn and Freddie S.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Luhu Senior Advisors. Let us help you. Now, back to the show.
And we're back. It's funny, I'm getting a text from Jody from the radio station. You know, sometimes I do shows and people say words in different languages that are curse words.
Oh.
And they do it because it's funny. And I could bring some up, but I won't do it now.
Thank you.
So she is texting me about you have to be careful what you say, even on the radio, even in a different language. Like you can't curse in Spanish, Italian.
Well, who's cursing in other languages?
Well, because sometimes curse words in Italian are.
What shows are you producing?
It doesn't matter what the show is.
I'm sitting here thinking what we said last night
Because
did not.
the guests say things. It isn't.
Oh, I have a
it
feeling I
isn't
know what show that would be
close.
then.
Yeah. So I just looked it up and. Jody, you have to be
That one?
100. You happen to be 100% correct. What? What was that?
That show? Oh, you know, the elevation. I know. That was a great interview that we had with Dr. Earl.
I'm looking for a shrink. Anybody know a shrink out there? Because my partner here needs a shrink.
It's all good. It's all good. Our crew was on point today. I'm glad
I got to
Jody
tell
is
you,
listening.
big applause. The crew is on point. Now, if somebody wants to call in, maybe ask Paul a question or something, I would really appreciate it because I want to throw a curveball at them to see if they can handle the phone call.
888-994-4995, Studio A. We had a great first segment, and you can find the second piece of that segment airing tonight on WWNN at 7 o'clock with Dr. Alexander Earl of Pure Plastic Surgery, located down in Miami. And more to come on the BBL, the Brazilian butt lift, and the safety of. A lot of things have changed since we were joking back in the day when I bought you that Fix-A-Flat. No more injecting any foreign substances into your buttocks, ladies and gentlemen. They do it with your own tissues and your own fat, and they sculpt it. It's fascinating.
I used to do a show with my son Freddie called the Freddie Fixer Show. And I know you 6-7 years. I did this 8 years ago with him. And there was this thing going around in Miami where they were putting Fix-A-Flat. And then they had you sit in this, I don't know, like a contraption. And then you stood up and it formed the Fix-A-Flat, except it was killing you.
Yeah.
And it used to move.
Ooh.
So I had a doctor that came in who did this kind of surgery. Not Fix-A-Flat surgery, he did.
The real.
And so I ran this reel that I found on YouTube. And he got up and said, that's horrendous, that's what we're trying to stop. But he had to compose himself, he was so angry. But that was gonna be the nature of the conversation. And people, they arrested a lot of people for that piece down there. A lot of people went to jail, so.
I'm glad things have changed. So you can find Dr. Earl at Pure Plastic Surgery down in Kendall, but you can do a full virtual consultation on their website, which is fascinating to me also.
It is, and they do a little bit of it, and they work for men. He does work for men as well as women. It doesn't have to be major, it could be minor, but it could be important to you, so.
And we've got Paul Solomon of Luhu Senior Advisors joining us, and Paul comes in every week with new stories, and they always touch home to me because I think about my parents, and I think about the conversation we had earlier. My dad used to always say money is round. Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. And when you don't have it, those lows, you talked about it this morning, are so painfully low. And sometimes you don't know what you're going to do, but yet you've got an entire life left to live. And when you were in some bad times, you were young. You knew, well, at least you had this hope that you were going to get back on your feet. You were able to work and continue to do and grow and build a life for you and your boys. But on the other side, we've got Paul Solomon telling us stories of people that are in their 80s and 90s filing bankruptcy because they can't afford medical care. And heaven forbid they actually need to go into a facility or age at home. How do you afford something like that? So let's talk to Paul. Let's bring Paul over. Luhu, let us help you. So we've got Paul back joining us in studio. Always fascinating stories.
Yeah, I mean, every day it's a different story I hear from families. And I just left an appointment. Husband's 91, the wife was 86, 87. They're in the process of filing bankruptcy because of medical bills on the husband. They have no savings, and they have an income, but they have a maybe $400 to $500 left at the end of the month to pay for food. And they already did a reverse mortgage, because that's a question I always ask. So they did a reverse mortgage 6-7 years ago, and they today still don't understand really what it means with this reverse mortgage. And I explained to them that with the reverse mortgage, they still have equity in the house. And one of the plans that I came up with as we were sitting there, because the market is so good right now, highest it's been in 10, 12 years, that it would be a good time to sell their house, pull the equity out, now they have money to live on, and then possibly rent something. Now the challenge obviously still is there to rent something reasonable, but at least we can narrow down budget, and with their fixed income, we could use some of the asset now we're pulling out of the house to form an income stream possibly in one bucket. We could have rainy day money in another bucket, and then maybe put some of that money away to grow over the next couple of years in a safe place, not putting it in the stock market, but aligning it where interest could be made on that money.
Well, let me ask you, a reverse mortgage, other than now I see Tom Selleck, Magnum PI, right? He is the advocate for reverse mortgage. That's about all I know, and great marketing, because our generation can relate to Tom Selleck, right?
Correct.
That's about all I know of a reverse mortgage. What is it, and what are the benefits of it?
Well, there's two ways to use a reverse mortgage. One is, and both of them you have to be over 62, has to be your primary residence, so it can't be a snowbird coming down buying another property. But you can pull the equity up to approximately 50%, maybe a little bit more, depending on age, out of your house. So whether you have a mortgage, maybe you have a small mortgage, and you don't want to make mortgage payments anymore, or you have no mortgage on the house, but that's your biggest asset and you want to pull cash out of your house. So instead of going for a line of credit, you go for a reverse mortgage. So you have no mortgage payment. So
Why is that a benefit versus going for a line of credit?
Well, because they don't look at your income.
Okay.
They don't look so much at your credit, if you have bad credit. So those things, income is usually, if somebody's living on Social Security, their income might not be there. So they won't give you the line of credit. But if you go for a reverse mortgage, if you have decent credit, they know that you can pay your bills back, homeowners association, insurance bills, making sure things are covered with your Social Security, then they would give you a reverse mortgage, which still could be used as a line of credit. You don't need to touch it. You can turn it on, but not touch it, possibly. Most people do.
Do you still own the house in a reverse mortgage?
You still own your house. People say, oh, then I lose my house. No. You can live there to the day you die, and or you can sell it. So let's say a lot of my clients either have a reverse mortgage and then want to move into an assisted living. They can sell their house, and now they have equity possibly in the house, depending upon when they took it out and how much they pulled out of it, of which we then can protect to then possibly get government benefits, again, to help pay for the care that they might need.
So the object of the game, if the house is worth $1, you pick up between 48 and 50 cents on the dollar, correct?
Correct.
And when you die, then the rest of the equity pays back the loan.
Correct. So you're going to pay back the interest, because the interest goes on the back end of the loan, and whatever fees. So if you start out with $300,000 as a loan, all right, you're buying a house for $600,000, or you have a house worth $600,000, you take out a $300,000 reverse mortgage, it's going to cost you, let's say, 5 to 6% is the cost, possibly. So now really you're starting at $315,000, $316,000, and that's going to now accumulate at 4 or 5% because interest rates are up, all right? Now let's say you keep the house for 10, 15 years, the interest is going to keep piling up, but your house is also appreciating. Maybe not like it has in the last year or two, but it's going to still appreciate. And you either, again, pass away, the last one to die, or you want to sell it, the loan gets paid off, and now you have the equity in your pocket.
And you can do this even if you still have a mortgage on your house?
Yes, you can pay off the mortgage. So if you have a mortgage on the house, and if it's less than what you could possibly pull out of the house, they'll pay off your mortgage, get rid of that mortgage. Now you won't have a mortgage. And you could even pull cash out at that time, depending upon how big of a mortgage you have.
Now, are you obligated to pay back the loan or its interest while you live in the house? Or
No,
you're
not paying any of that.
So you don't have to do anything. You could let it perpetuate, and then this is like a policy I wrote for my mother. And she used to take loans on this, and there's a formula that when she passed, the loan was paid off.
Right.
And we still had enough to do what needed to be done. It's an interesting concept. It's come a long way than in the day when I did insurance and we used to sell reverse mortgages. As a matter of fact, I remember the first year it came out, and everybody was like, wait a minute, this is too good to be true.
Right.
So the other question I have is, when you do the reverse mortgages, okay, so properties now go from 300 to $1.2 million, right? I mean, they just forget about it.
Right.
So isn't it wise for everybody to do a reverse mortgage right now if you're 62 and up?
Yeah, I mean, it's even can be used as an investment, something that I don't see too often, but people take out a reverse mortgage and don't use it, okay? So yes, there's the cost of it, but now you don't have a mortgage, but if you don't touch it, then it could increase based on interest.
That's
and,
right.
And the mortgage company will pay you an interest on the money you don't touch. So people use it as an investment also, besides everything else.
And is it based on the value of your house? So say you buy your house for $300 and it's worth 1.2 now.
It's based on the 1.2.
You can't because you're 60. But if you were 62,
it's based on the
how
1.2.
much can you take out?
You can take out half. You
Up
can
to
take
what the
out-
value of
Up
it?
the value.
48,
They're going to come out and do an
49%.
appraisal.
Yeah.
So the cost of actually going for a reverse mortgage, from what I'm told, because I don't sell them, but I work with somebody, is maybe the appraisal. So it's the cost of the appraisal, and then you have to do counseling. So the government wants to make sure you understand what you're getting into. So it's about an hour conversation. They go over your bills and things like that, and then give you a certificate afterwards, which then you need to be able to then go with the application to get the reverse
But
mortgage.
you could also sell your house. You don't have to stay there till you die. You can still sell the house and just get
Anytime.
paid back on the sale of the house.
Correct.
You pay back the loan.
So it's like you're getting the money back ahead, getting the money up front.
You see, the interesting thing is that people used to be worried because a lot of people that didn't have family, nobody to leave the house to.
Yeah.
They did this plan and they lived the equity, 50% of the equity in life. And then when they passed away, the other half of the equity paid off the house. So if you didn't have anybody to leave it to, it made a whole lot of sense. But I like the other aspect where you can take this $1.2 million, let's assume that it appraises because everything around you is going
Right.
for that.
Right.
And you take that money, you can invest it. Now, if you don't die and you pay back, say I blow up this half of 600,000, 500,000, I blow it up, and it's now $2 million.
Right.
Can I get out of the reverse, or am I stuck in the reverse?
You can pay off the reverse at any
And
time.
get it out.
Anytime.
Oh my goodness gracious!
And that's where it's a win-win-win.
Absolutely.
Because, you don't have a mortgage. Your property's going to increase, whatever it might be. And then if you are pulling the money out and you are investing it, and the investments do well, you're going to make more than the 4 or 5%
Than the loan you
interest
took.
that you're paying on the back end.
And you sell, you can use it for HOAs, you can use it for anything.
Yeah.
Anything you want. Now I got a question. Suppose we get into this inflation and depression state,
Right.
and my $1.2 million goes down to 200,000. What happens to the note?
So again, they don't come after you because you're buying insurance, and that's part of the cost going into it.
So they're covered.
So they're covered. So that
Okay.
if you need to sell your house, loved one passes away, and you're underwater, is the expression, you can give the keys back to the bank. And the biggest misinformation there is they think that either the power of attorney and or the family is responsible for the difference, and they're not.
It's just
So
right
you
on
literally
the
just
house.
walk away. Here's the keys to the bank. Thank you very much, and you walk away.
I'm gonna tell you something.
Interesting.
That is really something to think about.
Now, I have a client that I met with yesterday. She's bedridden, does not want to go to an assisted living or nursing home. She's using a reverse mortgage. She already is in the process of the application. But she called me in to say, okay, what can I do with this money? How does that whole work? And can I get Medicaid benefits at the same time, of which we can do. But I'm going in there trying to get Medicaid benefits, but also protect the money that she's going to be able to pull out of her house. And we're going to create more income because she wants to live there till she passes away, but she needs more money to pay for the aids. So a combination of coming out of pocket to pay for the aids and using the reverse mortgage to help pay for the aids, I'm kind of quarterbacking and putting this all together and possibly using some type of product to generate income for her. She has no power of attorney. She has no family. So we might have to go guardianship, but then she told me that she wants to leave whatever she has left to a foundation. So we have to get an attorney involved, possibly do a trust, so that the house would go into the trust, and then the difference of the reverse mortgage and the equity, if it's still there, sell the house to then donate the money to the cause.
And therein lies the crux.
But
He's
you have to be 62 isn't that old. I mean, it's young. Here we are quickly approaching
If you
this
have
age.
equity on your house, let's say that you have $200,000 and your house is worth 2.5. Even 48% of 2.5, if it appraises and everything is cool,
right?
You still need a quarterback because your HOAs, all this stuff has to be
Well, you have to be
designated.
smart. Otherwise, you're going to end up back in the soup where you started.
And then you invest the difference. You make sure that a chunk of it goes to perpetuating this thing, and then the investment vehicle. And then you do what you're doing. Oh, my goodness gracious. I'm going to tell you something. This is very interesting. People that are in trouble, and if you're 62 and over, you should give Paul a call because there's your parachute.
Give Paul a call.
If you do it right.
Yes.
If you do it right, you can get out of this soup, not have to pay for this thing, and you do what you're doing. Maybe get a job or whatever it is you got to do, but at least the collar is off. Oh my God, I
think
love
most
this.
people at 62 are working still.
Yeah.
And thinking, oh my gosh, I'm either underwater for whatever reason through COVID or bad investments or what do I do? I don't know many people that now still retire at 65. I don't know any, as a matter of fact. We have a lot of friends that are 60, 65. They're all working. I have no friends that are retired.
But you bring up a great point, which again was also part of this conversation with the 91-year-old, was about Social Security. So people don't understand when to take Social Security. There's right times and wrong times, but every family is different. But it was interesting to see that the husband was, Social Security was like $2,200, $2,300 a month. And the wife says, I get very little. And I said, why do you get very little? She's like, well, I didn't really work that much. I said, but how come you didn't take half of your husband's? And she said, well, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
I said, when your husband filed, you should have gotten 20-something years ago half of your husband's Social Security. That's the way it works.
And nobody told her that.
Nobody told her.
Not even Social Security.
Okay, let's back up. If he gets 2,200 for round number sake, she's entitled to 11. He gets 11.
1,100. She's only been getting $500 or $600 a month for the last 20 years.
So they would each split the 22.
No, he would get 22. She would get 1,100.
What?
What?
I never heard of this. What is this, an undercover operation?
It's amazing. It's amazing what people don't know about Social Security. It's
You need to do a seminar.
It's not just about when you take it, whether you take it at 62, 63, 64, or 70, because that's the last time you can take it. And the longer you wait, it's an 8% increase from the time that it's your full retirement age, which most people now are 66 and 67, and I'm sure it's going to go higher. But that difference of not turning it on until 70, it increases 8% a year.
So when should you turn it on, Paul?
Well, it all depends on your situation, your life expectancy. If you have bad health in your family, some people say I'm turning it on at 62, 63 before full retirement because they don't think they're going to make it to 70, 72, 75. But financially, if everything is equal, the best is to wait as long as possible to turn it on. But if one spouse turns it on, the other spouse can take half of that spouse and not turn theirs on and wait to turn theirs on until
It's
70.
like double dipping.
Absolutely.
Is this legal?
So wait, so
100%.
the gentleman gets 22, she gets 1,100,
Yeah.
and if she's younger or she hasn't turned hers on, eventually she turns her on and then she gets her 500 on top of it?
No.
Oh.
She's
So
gonna
where
get
would
the-
she
the-
turn it
Which is
on?
more? Which is more?
She gets the choice of which is more.
She gets to keep this
So
1,100
not both.
Versus the
or
500.
100.
Well, that's still a
But
good deal.
still.
She's getting 11 instead of 500.
Right?
I gotta tell you something. We should do a reverse mortgage Social Security seminar because nobody knows this.
This is
No.
unbelievable.
Yeah. There's even something even crazier where she can turn hers on. So let's say we know usually typically husbands made more in the history of our population than the female. But the female can get Social Security. She should turn hers on, okay, get the minimum amount that she can get. The husband can then take off of hers, get half, let his grow until it gets to 70, and then take his. So
And
his
then
can
they
keep
split that.
increasing.
So go in reverse.
Correct.
'Cause maybe
so there's
you don't
different
need the
ways.
money.
If you have a spouse, there's different ways you can play with Social Security.
You
It's
just
amazing.
and what I love is what he said. He's quarterbacking it because there are different options in
Oh, I
every
know.
person.
Do you have to be married for a certain amount of time?
Yeah, I think it's I say it and I hesitate, yes, for a year or two,
Okay.
but then it's even divorce. So let's say you were divorced, you were married for 10 years and then get divorced, you can get your spouse's Social Security if they turn it on. If theirs is turned on and you're divorced, you can get a piece of theirs.
Freddie.
But they could do the same thing to me.
Of course.
I gotta tell you something. You gotta keep some of this on the down low. I like
Certain
where you're
people will
going.
invite to these workshops.
Certain people we will not.
Wow.
Man,
I really
am-
think we need to call
You have.
Anik.
Wow. Anik.
and do a workshop at Maggiano's
think
and
we
bring
should.
people in. Truly, I mean, I used to get these things in the mail all the time. I mean, I don't trust this guy. I don't know this, but right, do a whole inner thing. At
Is this what you
Maggiano's.
do every day? You educate people this way?
Yeah, I mean, I got a phone call through a friend, through Diane, who
Through
does
Diane
Medicare.
that he met here, the virtual
Through
interview
here,
that we met
she
through.
said, can you meet with this family? No obligation, nothing. I went and met with them, spent an hour with them, and they were amazed at, couldn't so much find money, dollars for them, but within their house. So I sat there, tell me everything, and they kept talking. Did you do a reverse mortgage? Yes. All right, what do you owe? They didn't know what they owed. I said, but the values of your house are so high now that we could probably pull money out and put it in your pocket.
Can you
So-
do more than one reverse mortgage?
No.
So if I took $100 out of a reverse mortgage and the house now is worth $1,000, is there any way?
Can you refinance a reverse mortgage?
Yes.
You could probably go back and do another one. To pay off your first one and go back, you could probably do
You
that.
know, we take him there and we fill this thing up. I don't think we have to do any more shows. I mean, think about it.
It's
Are you kidding me?
unbelievable.
If you're in trouble and you're 62 and over, is that a fair number?
Yep.
You got so many options if you have a house.
Yeah.
And the value is up.
I'm
And if
still
you
stuck
don't,
on, I get half of his Social Security. I'm like, all
Yeah,
in.
The first person's got to turn it on. So once the first person turns it on, the other spouse
Chuck is
can
only
take care.
60.
He hasn't turned it on yet.
He's not going to turn it on right now.
But you never know. But here's the conversation again. Back to my dad, old school thinking, right? Educated physician, does his own finances. Always says to me, "You should really have put more money away when you worked." But I didn't always work to gain Social Security. But I didn't always work. I stayed home, and I was a stay-at-home mom for many, many years.
Right.
So where's my Social Security? I don't even know if it's at the 5. I don't even know where it is. But for people like me, there's that other side of the option that no one even knew existed. And then that once your spouse passes, then you say, all right, then you can have that.
But your
People
mom
don't
and
realize
dad-
you can get it while you're alive.
Your mom and dad are taking Social Security?
Yes.
She has her own and he has her own?
It's-
Do you know if hers is less than his?
I think hers is about half of his.
So why don't you take his half?
My father's?
Let her take his half.
Because you have to do it when
It's
you
already
file it,
turned on,
right?
yeah.
It's,
I
once
mean,
you
once
turn
you're
it on, it
past
has to
it-
be done before you turn it on.
There's no
You give it
going back?
There's no going back. But it could amount to, I mean, I just did quick math with my own parents. If they knew what they were doing or somebody was there to tell them what to do, probably $100,000 to $120,000 over their lifetime from 65 forward that they could have made more just by turning it on the right time and doing what
See,
they
this
should
is the
have done.
conversation to be had for our demographic people. Because once our parents' age have turned it on, you
There's
can't
no
go
going
back
back.
to it, right? So this is the conversation to have at this point in time.
If you're watching this show and you're about to file for Social Security today, don't do it. Stop. Just don't move. Stay still. Call Paul. I got to tell you, do you know how many people file for this thing per day, per minute of the day?
Oh, yeah?
You're talking about hundreds of thousands of people because they don't know. Your mom's house has no mortgage on it.
Correct?
Your mom is sitting on a gold mine. Do they have a reverse mortgage?
No, they just paid off their mortgage actually in January.
And they can invest the difference. You know how your father invests everything on his phone? He will have a ball with this thing. It won't jeopardize him. I don't think anybody in your family is going to even want mom and dad's house.
No, you've been there.
I love the house.
Well, I'll
I would
leave
take
to
it in
you.
a
I know.
second.
Yeah,
The
they're
house is
they're
beautiful.
not losing the house. I mean, that's what people think, that once you go for this reverse mortgage, you're going to give it back to the bank at the end. There's still going to be equity there.
And you can still take it if you want to just end it.
Absolutely.
You know, your mom and dad should talk to this guy. I'm just saying.
I know. A lot of people should talk to Paul. We're going to go to commercial, but before we do, how can people reach you?
My best number, 954-540-6609. And my email address is paulsolomonpa@gmail.com. And you can always go to luhuadvisors.com.
Wow. All right, stay with us. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, more with, wow, That kind of just blew us
I
away.
think we had to contact your mom.
Stay
Your dad.
tuned. We'll be right back.
Attention Florida residents. Is constant water damage from the elements putting holes in your pipes and your wallet? We cut the cost when disaster strikes. You deserve to have your house be a home again. At Triumph, we get you paid the most for your insurance claims. Broken pipes, water damage, and mold? Triumph Consulting covers it all. Call our offices now to qualify for a free house inspection at 954-669-4935 or visit www.wegetYouPaid.com.
Do you need a strong cup of coffee to get you through your day? Try your very own Brooklyn Cafe Show coffee, the official coffee of the Brooklyn Cafe Show. You can pick up a bag from us, or two. Contact us at 866-224-5422, or just stop on by. We're at 2400 Northwest Boca Raton Boulevard, Suite 13. Come on in, grab a bag of our signature Brooklyn Cafe coffee. The cafe doors are always open.
Here at the Brooklyn Cafe, our subjects range from hot topics, feel-good stories, and back-in-the-day nostalgia. With guest personalities and business features, you just never know who you'll see on the show. With our brew crew on set, we always air live to inspire, educate, and create. Make it a date and have a day at the cafe. Join Dawn and Freddie every weekday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. and for lunch every weekday from 12 to 2. Amplify your voice. Call us at 866-224-5422 or visit our website at brooklyncafe.tv.
Welcome to AMP2 TV, the first and only internet production company that's truly plugged in. When you're looking for a full-service internet radio, TV production company, discover AMP2 TV. AMP2 TV is a full-service media company that can provide all streaming videos, video studios, radio studios, and television studios. Call us today at 866-224-5422, for no business is too small to grow to be accounted. It's time for your message to be seen. Let AMP2 TV help get you there.
Hi, I'm Dr. Hillary Taylor at drthc.net. I have my doctorate in clinical psychology and now practice as a certified life coach. At Dr. Taylor's Holistic Community, we will work together using a holistic approach to improve and maintain your wellness and take the first steps towards creating the life that you want, need, and deserve. Call me today at 1-833-552-4442 and remember drthc.net.
You've been watching the Brooklyn Cafe Show. Join us each day and after hours as we talk about the hot topics to open the conversations and share a few laughs. Now, back to Dawn and Freddie S.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Sunshine Senior Solutions, bringing the heart back to healthcare. Now, back to the show.
And we're back. I'm going to tell you, man, you just threw me for the biggest loop because it's difficult nowadays to find an access. And the older you get, the less choices you have. You know, and if you, and right now, because real estate has gone up, if you're sitting in a house and you got, especially even if you have a mortgage, but if you have no mortgage, especially, you should be on the phone calling this guy to see what your options, and he's not going to tell you sign here, give me $10,000 for me to help you. He's not going to do that. But when you're in a bad place, like I know so many people, I didn't know half of these things.
This is unbelievable.
And what I like about it, again, is if you take the money out and then protect the money. So yes, you could throw it into the stock market, but now you're taking a risk, right? We don't know what's going to happen with the stock market.
Right.
But there's other ways to protect that money through insurance products, of which I'm involved with, and I have a team that helps people to either give them a flow of income and protect it and guarantee it for the rest of their life, depending on their age, or put it in some type of vehicle that will mirror, let's say, the S&P 500, but you can't have the losses of the S&P 500 if the market goes down. You can only get the gains. So there's ways to protect the money that will grow, but grow enough to offset, A, the interest rate that you're paying on the back end, and also the appreciation, again, of the house. How much is your house going to appreciate? over time.
And you help with all of that also.
Correct. And again, I have other people that I work with. So again, I have the conversation, and I don't sell reverse mortgages, but my friend does. I've used them many times, whether using a reverse mortgage to pull out to have care in the house or to purchase a home with a reverse mortgage.
Yeah, but you quarterback the reverse mortgage.
Correct.
You know, it's like signing a wide receiver.
It's
So you get a
amazing.
wide receiver who's a superstar, like a Rice. But you still need a quarterback and a coach to make it happen. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, we talked a little bit about long-term care. Long-term care.
Let's get Clayton's information also.
If you can get long-term care, because it's hard to get now, from what I understand, it's very difficult to get long-term care right now. But if you can get it, you should apply and get it, correct?
Well, again, you're saying it's difficult to get. Depending upon how you want to purchase it. So if you want to purchase it the old way, meaning like our parents, grandparents possibly bought it, where they're making a monthly payment every month or a yearly payment, the old school way, yes, it's hard to get because there's only 3, 4, 5, if there's even that many
Correct.
insurance companies left selling it. But if you buy it the newer way, and I say newer, over the last 10, 15 years, the insurance companies realized that people don't want to use it or lose it type of insurance, that they have other benefits, like a life insurance policy with a rider for long-term care, or through some type of annuity with a rider to help pay for long-term care, or some other vehicle that turns on income that you can use for long-term care.
And
So
that
there's
would
multiple
pay
ways.
for it? That would pay for the long-term care?
Correct. The same way as the old long-term care policy would pay for it, so would these new ways of buying it. Would cover home care, assisted living, or nursing home.
It's fascinating. There's so much money and hope out there. And I almost feel like shouldn't call you a senior advisor because you
You're
help
just an
people
advisor.
before they're
Forget
seniors.
about seniors. Senior is like a tidbit.
Well, again, it's even the baby boomers, because that's kind of where I back it down, because the baby boomers are taking care of their parents.
Yes.
So the baby boomers don't know the information either to protect themselves, but then also now to protect their parents. So we know that most of the wealth in this country is the seniors. I mean, it's fact. But if we can protect that wealth, and then being able, whether it's tax related and or not having to pay for medical, because that's the biggest expense that the seniors are incurring. That's why this family had to file bankruptcy, because they just couldn't keep up with the
At
medical
90
bills.
years of age.
90 years of age.
That's such a shame, right? Because their health bills, they have to file bankruptcy.
Yeah, because
And to
people think
like-
Medicare is going to cover it, or a supplement's going to cover it, but there's certain things that aren't covered, obviously. And that's why they called me in to find out what Medicaid could cover, but they weren't sick enough to qualify for Medicaid. So I couldn't help them get that coverage, but I could help them with other things.
Wow. You know who we need to connect Paul with? Joey from Coffee News came in last week when you had gone to the radio station, and he told me he needs hip resurgery, so he's going to wait till he's Medicare in a couple months. And then he told me the plan he's going to go on. And here's his rationale. And Clayton, you're sitting here and you're going to be like, I can't even mention the plan, but you'll know. Well, my mother was on it, and she never had medical problems, so it covered everything. Okay, logical, except he's going into this thinking, I need a hip replacement or two, so I'm going to use this plan. Now, I know this plan is not the best plan out there.
I know the plan too
Okay,
that you're talking about.
right?
It's the worst plan in the world.
But we can't, because who are you and I to say, don't go on that? But we can say, you know what, you should really consider talking to Paul and kind of putting some perspectives. And I didn't realize he was ready to apply for Medicare. I didn't realize he was that age.
We should take Paul and put him in a case here. We'll feed him through the case, take him out when we need him, because there's so many different things that you've touched on. My brain is on overdrive right now. I'm serious. If you are applying for Social Security today, don't do it yet.
Wait and talk to
Just
Paul.
wait 24 hours. Give this man a call. Across the board, you're looking at things that, I mean, we do this for 7 years. We've been trying to give advice.
$100,000 if his parents
Of
had filed
course.
correctly.
Right.
And Clayton Shea, I don't know your last name, I'm sorry. Clayton Williams of All County Healthcare is joining us. It was nice to see you last night. I'm glad you're here to meet Paul Solomon.
I'm excited, thank you. It's a really cool studio, by the way.
Thank you.
It is pretty neat.
So I think this will be a nice connection for y'all. But Paul, this is unbelievable. People don't realize there are monies out there to help seniors, to help planning. you don't have to be in these dire straits sometimes. There's hope to pull out.
Oh my God, yes. Now I got a question because I want to tie Mr. Williams into this conversation.
Okay.
So we do the plan, you quarterback the plan, and I need somebody to take care of me at home.
Right.
Or mom or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right? I remember when I had my mother and I had the government come and said she don't qualify. And I said, why? And it says, because she's still breathing. I don't get this because she can't take a shower.
She's too healthy.
She's too healthy.
Right.
I said, my mother doesn't leave the bed. Yeah, but she can still take a shower. And she's showing me,
And she can eat,
well, she fell. So I said, really? So she didn't qualify. Okay, let's leave that over here. But having somebody come in to take care of you becomes part of what you quarterback. I love that saying. I quarterback the plan, right? And that's what Mr. Williams comes because he comes in, he sells people from Oak County. Like I know your parents used Oak County when your mom
My mom
was
had her
your mom?
bypass,
Your
yep.
mom had the bypass. And they wanted to marry the lady. They didn't want to let her go. But there comes an expense to this.
Right.
And you don't get the care. So all of a sudden you're eating tuna, you're eating cat food, never showering.
Such a shame.
I'm going to tell you, I worked with a social worker, and I'm going to tell you straight up, I saw these deals. I saw people eating cat food because they didn't have any money, and they needed medicines and stuff like that. And you don't have anybody who cares because nobody cares when you're alone. So I want you to emphasize a little bit about how a reverse mortgage or the plan that you have can offset the cost to having a home care attendant.
Well, that's yesterday's client where she fortunately was able to speak to somebody before I got involved, but then she realized, okay, what am I going to do with the money when I get the money out? And she's bedridden,
Hip is lower 30.
no family, and so who's going to help her? So she didn't have a power of attorney. She mentioned guardianship, so she understood that. But I said, okay, once you get in guardianship, now somebody's going to have total control over you. I don't know if that's the best situation. And power of attorney, that would have been great years ago. She said to me, well, you can be my power of attorney. I just met her 10 minutes before. I said, okay, I really can't be your power of attorney, but maybe there's somebody out there that I know, and I do know somebody, that could be / power of attorney / guardianship. There's a company in Broward County that does this.
Actually, Justin Mooney does that also.
Well, he does guardianship and sets it up for
But he
somebody
said
to the
people
court.
can leave HH&K as
Correct. I was going to call him, but again, that's setting up. This is like a step back from it, so it's not official guardianship.
Oh.
What they do, because again, that costs some money, and how
Yes.
that works out. So yes, he was on my mind to call, but I think there might be somebody there first before we get to him that might be able to help the family. But she is nobody, so now it's a question of how does she protect the money? She already was scammed by somebody for about 20 grand. She told me. That came in that was going to help her. Next thing, they wrote a check, and the bank accepted the check, unbelievably. But we think it was an inside job, what was going on. But that happens, like my parents. My parents were scammed for $4,000. The grandkids
Walmart,
scam.
right? The grandkids scam. The scam
Yeah.
that you think, who could actually believe this scam?
Right.
But yet they do.
But it happens every day.
Every day.
Every day.
So that's, so again, when I go in there, I'm looking at where the money is and how we can distribute it and protect it and give the most bang for the buck to last as long as the money can last, as long as they last. And then, like this lady yesterday, she wanted to give it to charity. So we have to make sure beneficiaries are set up that whatever's left goes to the right causes.
Wow. And Clayton, let me ask you, All County Healthcare, what type of services do you all provide?
So we have two different segments. So we'll have the skilled side where we get an order from a doctor and we perform whatever the doctor is ordering, and that's usually with an RN or LPN. But then we have the private side where we can work with long-term care policies or living benefit policies, and we send a home health aide, and they provide like assistance with activities of daily living and that kind of companionship. It's kind of like what we're on the thread of now, of those times of uncertainty where you may need someone out in the home, and if you don't have that long-term care benefit, you have to come up with the funds to provide for that live-in aid that you may need.
Well, so when people call you and they meet with you, or there's a referral coming from a hospital, pretty much you get a lot from there, right?
Yeah.
And they say, all right, I want you, but I don't have the funds.
Mm-hmm.
Then is there a way to, it's either private pay, Do you work with Medicare? Do you work with Medicaid?
Yeah, we work with Medicare, but what Medicare is going to provide is very limited. And this is what we see a lot of the times where I'll go and visit someone at their hospital discharge, and they're really coming across this problem for the first time in their life, and they're saying, well, how much is Medicare going to cover? And we're going to say, you know, the nurse is going to come out, they're going to do an assessment, there will be some routine visits, they'll create a frequency that may say you need us 3 times a week. We send that all in a nice packaged plan of care to the doctor for them to sign off on, but there's a lot of gaps there, you know, so that's where the private side comes in if someone really needs that extra attention in the home, and they do have to come out of pocket for that if they're not properly insured.
Stop right there. So here goes the game plan. Now, you step in and you offer a solution to that gap. So all of a sudden, he's able to give the proper care. And I'm only telling you this because my mother died during the hurricane that hit Puerto Rico in a hospital that collapsed. She died in the hospital. And I was forced to put her in there because there was nowhere else money-wise that we can put her. So it becomes a real deal as to what we're talking about. What I like about this whole scenario is that if you meet with the people and you do this right, exactly what you just described, you'll be able to get her the care that he can provide without the gaps.
Now, again, there's certain things with this reverse mortgage where it's got to be a house or a villa or a townhouse, can't be a condo because it's FHA backed, so they don't do that. But if I go in there and I could look and see where the money is, see how it's sitting or how we can change that, plus also maybe they do have some funds that they can pay privately, but then also get Medicaid to come in to offset some of that, right? So it might be 2 agencies if you don't take Medicaid.
Right.
Then we bring in another agency that does take Medicaid to help offset some of those hours, so they can work together. So you might not be able to have one aide unless you're paying out of pocket for that one aide, but you might have to have 2 aides, 2 different agencies coming in, but we can get more
Splitting
hours
the
covered.
monies, yeah.
That's the priority. That's what we're trying to do.
Interesting.
So you can layer benefits also, Paul?
You can, depending upon, I mean, again,
Right,
it's
so you
coming
can
from a
do some
long-term care
private pay,
policy.
some of this, some for VA if you have it, or?
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. Yep.
You need a quarterback.
You need I mean, the game isn't simple anymore. You sort of have to understand. Otherwise, you're going to give in. You know, when you're here, you got gaps. What, you raise your hands and you don't do anything. And I'm telling you this from my father's experience. I had to bring in somebody to cook and clean for my father. And he's eating her food on the FaceTime. And he's saying, I don't like her. She don't know how to cook. Meanwhile, his clothes are clean, and I'm paying her, doing what I had to do. And says, yeah, Dad, we'll get rid of her. I never got rid of her until he died. But she helped.
Right.
But I got around that loop, and it took me a couple of visits to Puerto Rico to do it. So sometimes you throw your hands up in the air because you need the care. It's not there, you got to find it. You know, and this is a better solution than saying, you know what, I give up.
And Clayton, what type of ADLs do you need? You talked about your mom not qualifying. How many ADLs do you need to qualify for care?
To activate that long-term care benefit, the law says 2. That's what most plans are going to require.
Oh, okay.
So that could be, you know, getting dressed, bathing, assistance with using the bathroom, cooking.
So cooking is considered an ADL?
Yes.
Interesting.
Very much.
Well, you have to eat.
I understand that, but it's
Mom
not.
couldn't cook, that
It's
was
not
mine.
just like putting your socks on or bathing or walking or driving. Cooking is a necessity, and I don't think people realize that that would be considered an ADL because you could go get a sandwich, so you're not really cooking.
Right.
True.
I mean, that's why driving's a big thing. So that's the first question.
Right, driving's the first
You know, this
one.
91-year-old is driving. So I said, okay, I don't want to be behind him or in front of him, but he's driving because he needs to.
Right.
In Florida, you need to drive everywhere.
Wow.
So that's the first thing, because no matter how good or bad of a driver you are, they say you're driving, so you're competent. So that's one thing right away, it kicks them out.
That's on the Medicare side of things. They classify things as homebound status.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
When it comes to like a private insurance where they don't, you know, they can't really like mandate those types of things to pay out for the care. They just think about it, what does the patient really need help with at home? So that becomes like a script from the doctor, and then it would unlock those benefits from the private company. Paul does make a good point. There's a bunch of scenarios where perhaps the patient has the long-term care benefit, or if they didn't plan ahead and they go a Medicaid route, But it's interesting that you provide for them to tap into the liquidity of their home or the reverse mortgage to pay, because this is really a time of uncertainty. It puts a lot of strain on the family if they're involved. So
Yeah,
interesting.
and people don't understand it, because again, I mean, even like today's conversation with the family, oh, we're going to lose the house. They have a reverse mortgage, but they still don't understand. They've had it for 5 or 6 years, and they're still asking questions about it. It was the right thing for them to do, because somebody talked them into it, good or bad, but they did it, and it's helped them get through the last 6 years. But they still thought that there was a way that they could possibly lose the house. And I said, no, you'll never
So
have
they
to
lived
worry.
in fear for 6 years.
Yeah.
That'd
Yeah.
take about 10 years off your life expectancy.
But I love the pre-planning idea of putting the money away, because I even know with my parents, waiting for my dad to qualify for his long-term care. Now, he had spent 45 days in the hospital, and he had surgeries and operations and gone home. I mean, you went through this with me. His long-term care policy would not kick in until he filed this paper and that paper. From the hospital, how's he going to do that? He was too sick to do it.
Right.
Till this doctor sent in this form, and this doctor, dotted their I's. It was 6 months at least before it kicked in. But he had care, because he had to have care because he couldn't take care of himself.
Right.
So therein lies this gap of you needing funds before it kicks, like with Wayne, right? You need those funds. So having this long-term, the reverse mortgage, money in the bank, helps cover you until your long-term care policy kicks in to pay for your ADLs. I mean, it's a crazy game, and it's so unfair that our seniors are left in this because they don't have the means or the help, or heaven forbid, when you're sick in the hospital, if you don't have someone filing your paperwork, there's nothing you can do except wait until you're well enough. And then by then they say, well, your temporary is off, now you're well enough, you don't need it, but you needed it 6 months ago. It's crazy what's going on out there. Is there a way to help this?
Well, again, the biggest issue is, good or bad is Google, right? So everybody's going online
Dr.
looking
Google.
up this information.
Right.
And it's not, there's not a page on Google for Florida, and this is what you need to do. So that's the first problem, because a lot of the adult children I'm dealing with are around the country.
Yeah.
And every state is different when we're talking about government benefits. So, they could say, no, you can't do that. I'm like, okay, we can in Florida. And then on top of it, I'm working with an attorney, and I've had somebody sit in an attorney's office and ask me if this is legal on what we do. And I'm like, okay, so he's not going to lose his license. I have licenses. I'm not losing my license for this one deal. So, we have to explain to them, and some people think it's too good to be true. How come I didn't know about this? Or how come we can get home care? I thought Medicaid is just for the nursing home, and it's not. So it's just educating, and educating.
But it's making the volume louder.
Yeah.
They offered a COPD treatment
With Ed Salazar, right?
with Ed Salazar. I've known Ed for 6
A long
years.
time.
And during COVID and everything else, and we talked about the cleaning of the lungs using the COPD mechanism. And I've even asked them to come in here and bring the machine and everything else. Lou and them have been with me 4 years on the radio talking about this. And I had people who had COVID and they still coughing up a lung. And so I wanted Ed to meet them. I think I gave him 3 names, and that all the doctors to those 3 guys that I gave him told them not to use Ed. Well, don't use him, I can take care of it. Meanwhile, they're walking around coughing up a lung.
Right.
And they can't breathe. And you know one of them, because he's a very, very good friend of mine. And I said to him, but why are you listening? Do you need a doctor's permission in order to get the COPD treatment?
We do have some patients that pay cash for it. It's really just that identifying it, educating the doctor for letting them know that we're in the community and we're here to provide that. But yeah, we can take an order and we can bill Medicare. We go that route and we make that happen. Or if we have some patients that get the service and they have such good a response, like the outcome is so good, they're like, can I please pay for a follow-up treatment of that?
And they pay out of pocket.
They pay out of pocket for that.
And we're back to the soup again. We're back into that whole thing. If you can't get it one way, you try to get it another. But I spoke to Ed, and I was upset that people that I knew that were sick weren't getting the treatment, and now I'm beginning to find out the reason why, which it's not a good reason either.
What separates All County from some other agencies?
I think that IPV really is our secret sauce. One of the top 2 diagnoses that come out of the hospital that
What is IPV for those that don't know?
Interpulmonary ventilation. And it's really, you know, I'm not a respiratory therapist like Ed, but I've been in enough presentations to know that it's, it looks like a breathing treatment. It shoots this pressure. In our example, we have like a balloon, and we cuff the balloon to kind of illustrate that there's a blockage, just like someone with COPD. And you can still see the back of the balloon getting filled up with air. But at the same time, as they exhale, it's kind of like spiraling in, and it's forcing the air out. And they're able, after the treatment, to cough up all of this mucus that's you know, creating that block. So this is a ICU grade machine that we use. And just to answer your question, there's no one in South Florida, no one in Florida that I know of that even does that at all. So I would say that has to be our secret sauce, and the proof is kind of in the scores, in the published data that hospitals look at. That's how we get to be listed on these CCN lists, which are the preferred providers with in these hospital networks, as well as the Palm Beach ACO, which that's a pretty big deal for us.
And you saw the letters, remember?
Yes, absolutely.
We saw the letters.
And even for children, I saw some of the testimonials that Ed had left with you.
Yeah, it's
kids
big.
with cystic fibrosis and.
It's huge for children. It's probably the number one question that I get for when we go and market the geriatric services. They say, can you use this for our children? But I want to touch on the one thing that you alluded to a moment ago about, you know, getting the service and like where Paul would come in when there's gaps. I just want to say sometimes, you know, people are living a lot longer these days, and say someone gets put in this situation, say they did plan, they did have a long-term care policy. Say if they live 10, 15 years, they could exhaust all of those benefits, you know, and then you need something to backfill that, you know, people are getting these medications, it's causing them to live longer, and they have the COPD, they have the CHF, and, you know, they don't get any better.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's very few policies being written that have lifetime benefits. They're out there, though. The one that I have personally has a lifetime benefit. So you can buy them. Are they more costly? Sure. But, you know, how long is somebody going to be sick? I mean, my mom has Alzheimer's. She's going to exhaust her policy come August, 4 years. You know, now who thought she would have lived 4 years through this? My dad didn't live 4 years when it was full blown. He only lived about 2.5 years with dementia. So you just don't know, you know, again, when it comes to buying the insurance aspect of it, what can you afford to buy? And there's different ways to buy it. So you just have to look into it.
But you know, some of a plan is better than having no plan.
Correct.
Right? My
Correct.
father was 88. I thought he was going to live for 100. My father would still be alive today. We've had this conversation. That's another story. But the bottom line here is that if you don't have a way of getting foods together, getting monies together to eat, to do COPD, to get treatment, you begin to break down because your brain begins to take over your body. All of a sudden, you're living in panic mode. And if you ain't never lived in panic mode, it destroys you. And when you get older, it takes it and does things even more rapidly. You begin to decline because you don't see any getting out of it. And all I am saying is if you give Paul, you give Ord County a shot, maybe, just maybe you'll see a brim of hope on this thing. I'm not saying that Paul's going to save you. I'm saying Paul's going to try, which is a whole lot more than a lot of people doing out there. That's all you can.
Give some hope.
You just raised my spirits up today because I see up here, and I used to be in finances. I know the game a little bit, just a little bit. And that's a better idea than anything I have on the table right now. I'm telling you straight up. If you are filing for Social Security today, stop. Do it tomorrow and give him a call and start from there. If you can't breathe, that means you can't take air in or you can't blow a balloon. Try doing that. If you can't blow a balloon, then you got to call the other guy.
Now, can you use the IPV with congenital heart failure or just difficulty breathing, or do you need a COPD diagnosis?
Yeah, I mean, the COPD diagnosis is where we can really help because it is that blockage that we're taking care of. It's the response that we get is, we've had people that went skiing, they went on vacation afterwards, and they were like, I've been in my house for years, so it's getting all of that mucus up. the alternative to this is this vest that they send people home with, is this percussion vest, or having an actual respiratory therapist give you
Come and
that
do the
therapy.
percussion
Yeah.
treatment. I mean, that's just, you watch people and you're thinking this is such a much better way. And what it's doing for kids, I mean, children with cystic fibrosis, when they've got mucus and fluid in their lungs and they can't breathe, to have hope. And these testimonials that you showed me are by far spectacular.
But if they do have the CHF comorbidity, both things can be true, but we really get the outcomes with the COPD patients.
Wow.
You know, it's funny, I coach kids. I've seen a lot of coughs. I've heard them. I've seen them. I mean, I'm 60.
You hear the rattle?
And I'm not going to say any names because they're going to get mad at me. I worry about somebody I know, this kid keeps getting this cough, right? And I said, this ain't normal for me. I don't like it. Oh, he's going to school, and at school you pick up, you know something? Just check it out. That's all I'm saying. So I remember when I was young, I put Freddie on an inhaler, is that what it is? With the Butyral?
Albuterol.
That stuff. And then I saw him go like a ping pong.
Yeah.
And he was jumping all over the place. I said, no. I called the doctor. I said, no, Papa, we got to do something else. Because this ain't working for me. This is not, and he was highly allergic. I haven't had problems breathing as well, too. I don't think he's going to grow out of it. It's the right solution. I'm sorry. I ain't buying that. I've seen more coughs than most doctors. Because I was around sports figures, and I was around kids, and grass, and forget about it, being allergic in the whole nine. All I'm saying is that you give it a shot. If it ain't for you, we're going to know. He does the whole scan. It doesn't work. You got to find plan B. But at least you make the effort to see if this is why I was so mad at Ed. Because Ed said, no, the doctor said no. That ain't good enough for me.
Yeah.
It ain't good enough. I said, and I told those three guys, give me the doctor's number. I want to call him. And I'm going to put him on that chair. I'm going to say, are you going to have to tell me why he can't have that medicine? And you better make it clear, because I got 50,000 people watching right now. And they wouldn't pick up the phone.
But All County was great. They were there for my mom. My mom had bypass surgery, and she walked my mom. She helped her mindset. We're just going to walk around the house to start. Then we're going to walk a house or 2 houses or 3 houses. They had her walking around the entire block, and it was just spectacular.
You would be surprised. We call it the information asymmetry. It's just, you got these brilliant people. I'll give you an example. I traveled to Las Vegas. I've done a lot of work with Sandeep Jain. I've gone on presentations for business ventures that he's had, and did a little bit of business development. And so I'm really close with this guy. He's the medical director of the pulmonology department for the Broward system in Fort Lauderdale. And I'm telling him, I'm like, Dr. Jain, I have an IPV, a respiratory hygiene team that we can go to in the house, and it's just so foreign to them to think about this machine that you would use in the ICU, that we're going above and beyond. You know, there's nothing in the bylaws that says this is what we would have to do on like a COPD patient, but we do that to provide for that score. So I always think about the patient in mind. It's like what we want is we want the outcome for the patient.
Sure.
So I say in our presentations when we go see discharge planners and doctors, I say we are doing everything that we possibly could do to get your patient the best outcome. And you know, if they're not referring a patient to me, I always want to say I just need to know why, like what has to be true in order for us to help that patient. And so that's kind of how I approach it. But I would tell you the thing that I've noticed doing this and going on these calls is that they just don't have the information. Like it's got to be right in front of them.
Yep. That's
A few times.
both of you guys. That's
Information
exactly what
and
it is.
education. Yep.
A few
Education
times.
and education.
Because I guarantee you, the people that are watching them by 2:30, they're going to forget half the conversation. By 3 o'clock, I'll say 90%. You see, but the bottom line here is that the problem you're in doesn't go away. You know, if you're eating cat food for a reason, that ain't going to go away. So if you stop and you say, they taught something about this, reverse something or another, it ain't going to make your problem go away. I'm going to tell you, there was a time in my life I could not breathe. They gave me the pink disc. The purple disc. You remember the purple disc?
Advair, Singular, Advair.
It's one of those. Changed my life because I was an asthmatic. And the doctor said, we got to give you something and you're going to have to run. I got to what? I got to run. You don't understand why I hate running. It isn't the physicality of it. When I was younger, I had to run to breathe. And I had to take this disc. And it just reminds me of what I went through. Okay? So your problem isn't going to go away if you stick your head in the sand. That ain't going to happen, man. Give it a call, give it a shot, make it work. You got a quarterback and a wide receiver. That's the way I do everything in sports.
I got to tell you, I love this whole segment today. I think it's fantastic.
I think it's much needed, especially with what we're going through right now. Right now, man, I'm going to call Delroy next.
Call Delroy next. All right, let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, more with Paul Solomon, more with Clayton Williams, All County Healthcare, Luhu Senior Advisors, a lot of stuff. 888-994-4995, Studio A. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Creative, enchanting, whimsical. Artist Gina Bella is always creating artwork based on real stories and emotions, expressed through Italian papers, paints, flowers, metals, and clay. Her feelings and stories come to life. Complete with glittery diamond dust over paintings and pottery, Gina Bella is always creating new pieces and commissions. You can find her work in staging homes, family Christian bookstores, New Jersey boutiques, and the Brooklyn Cafe Gallery, where she offers personal guided tours of her latest art pieces. Gina can also be found hosting weekend art camps, where she teaches adults and children pottery, painting, and jewelry. For more information on Gina Bella and her art, contact livinglifeartfully@gmail.com or give a call to 954-857-5444. We hope you're enjoying this episode of the Brooklyn Cafe TV show. Whether you enjoy watching in the mornings or afternoons, you can now watch with your favorite merchandise. Choose from the Brooklyn Cafe t-shirts, ranging from sizes small to 3XL. Colors available include black, dark heather, and navy. Feeling chilly? Just check out our latest hoodie with over 9 colors to choose from. Sip on some Brooklyn Cafe coffee with Dawn and Freddie in a matching mug as seen on set. Brooklyn hats and special seasonal items are always popping up and available upon request. To purchase, you can visit our online store at brooklyncafe.tv/shop. Happy shopping!
Oh, what a beautiful morning. I am so glad today we got an early start. Where are we headed anyway?
Who knows? Wherever this glorious day takes us, and we'll take Don Pablo along too. Rich and flavorful with low acidity and notes of caramel. No matter where you're going or where you end up, Don Pablo never disappoints.
Excuse me, is that Don Pablo coffee?
Sure is.
Do you have any more?
Sure do. Then hop in.
No matter where life takes you, Don Pablo Coffee is always there to pick you up.
Coffee News is a fun, family-friendly weekly publication provided free to restaurants, coffee shops, and waiting areas for customers to enjoy. Grow your business today through the power of effective, affordable advertising. Coffee News is an active marketing medium specializing in the ongoing weekly promotion of your business. This builds awareness for your company so you become known as the leader of your industry and develop brand awareness so people think of you first when they want your services or products. Maximize your visibility and achieve outstanding results. For more information on Coffee News, contact sunrisecoffeenews@mail.com or give them a call at 954-951-7870.
The Spa Facial by Maria has amazing facials, body treatments, and sugar body waxing for any special occasion. All our spa treatments have organic and natural ingredients concentrated just for your skin. We guarantee all natural products help you with that extra feeling of zen. The Spa Facial offers organic facials, foot detox, aromatherapy, manscaping, and face and body waxing. Call the Spa Facial for your spa appointment with Maria at 954-213-5034 or visit her website at thespafacial.info.
been watching the Brooklyn Cafe Show. Join us each day and after hours as we talk about the hot topics to open the conversations and share a few laughs. Now, back to Dawn and Freddie S.
This segment of the Brooklyn Cafe Show is brought to you by Coffee News. News to be enjoyed over coffee.
And we're back. And this portion of the show brought to you by Coffee News. Our friend Joey brings this in there. Do you know that I'm beginning to see this more and more in Boca?
Nice.
So we went over to Sunny Stop here on 23rd Street.
Yeah, about.
And Sunny Stop, we've known her for 2 years now, right? And I told her about the coffee. And Slick and I went over and we took the coffee stand in
She
there.
excited?
She put it right next to the soda stand. And she says, I kind of like this. She wants to know if we can bring in half already.
We can ask. Somebody else asked me for the ground as well.
The
So
ground.
let me see if I can give them a call and put some through.
Yep. And it's there. It's going to go to Atlantic Avenue to 2 other places. And I'm looking at the Coffee News stuff in here as well. And there's Dawn's picture as well. And you got Lucky in here. Some of the people we know are in here.
And Diane, who Paul got a client from.
Diane is the Medicare specialist.
That's how Paul got. Remember we interviewed her?
This might be, we might have a trifecta here to do a seminar. We can even bring in Sunshine at Maggiano's. The information that you guys are giving in, my phone is blowing up. Information you're giving in, people are asking me, Freddie, is this real? No, it's real. It's not, I'm not making this stuff up, which is amazing, amazing. So maybe we put something together. Here they have a what's happening piece.
What is happening in Boca this week?
I don't know, you want to read it?
No, you have your glasses. I can attempt it.
Yeah, because you do that so well.
I do?
Yeah.
What's happening? The city is excited to announce the return of the 2nd annual Battle of the Bands. What date is this one? April 14th. Let's see when it is. Battle of the Bands. Applications are being accepted until April 25th until 5 p.m. Under 21 years old or over 20 years old. Under 20 years old or over 20. I guess they're having 2 is what this
Under
means.
20 and over 20, 2 different categories.
Couldn't
Clayton
they have
plays-
just said that?
Yeah, but that's what
Clayton,
they
you play the drums, right?
The guitar.
Yes, ma'am.
Drums or the guitar?
Yeah, I play the drums in a band. I play the guitar just for fun.
Learn more and apply at myboca.us. Battle of the Bands at Meisner Park Amphitheater in Boca Raton. Food trucks, May 6th. Check that out on Crawford Boulevard. That's coming up. Sign up for the new police alerts by visiting myboca.com. Those police alerts, I have to tell you, they're fantastic. I think I signed up for them once during a hurricane. And they'll tell you when there is an accident. They'll tell you where there's a burglary. They'll tell you if a road shut down for water main breaks.
If they're looking for somebody.
It's pretty amazing. So you can
Until-
check that out also at myboca.us. And if you would like your business to receive Sunrise Coffee News for free, you can call them. Call Joey at 954-951-7870. Let them know what's happening with you. A lot of good stuff.
And if you have an eatery, I know that when I go to Tuesdays and stuff, I spoke to them about bringing some because I like to have something to read while I'm having my breakfast or whatever. That's a New York thing. We used to always eat and you're reading the New York Times, the Daily News or the Post.
Right.
That's what you did. She made me go get the Post. They sell it right over here. It's about this thin now. It's about this
And
big.
it was $7.
It looks like a
It
comic
was so expensive. It was ridiculous.
because they got to fly it down here.
All right, so here's the question for our medical panel here today. Aspirin was first marketed in 1899, 1900, or 1934. Do you know?
No.
No idea.
Any idea?
1934.
I would say 34.
1899.
Of course it was.
Aspirin was first marketed in 1899. Is that unbelievable? What is the deficiency in red blood cells called?
Anemia.
There you go. Which actor and filmmaker directed the film A Beautiful Mind?
Scorsese?
What's the name of the guy who did
Yeah, good
West Side
picture.
Story?
Spielberg?
Spielberg.
This actor played Opie.
Oh, from the guy Happy Days. The
I'm
bald-headed
terrible
guy.
at trivia.
What's the name of the guy from Happy Days?
That's who it is.
I know. What's his name?
Redhead.
Redhead. And now he's bald. He takes off his baseball hat and there's no hair from Opie. Opie's one Canopy he's got.
Ron Howard.
Howard.
Yeah.
That's it. Ron
Yeah, I
Howard.
did have it.
All right, and this is brought to you by Coffee News. A lot of great information and more to come. I'm so glad that Diana Sowley was great connecting with you, Paul. That was a fantastic show we put together that day. A lot of good information happening.
We have to bring Diane back.
A lot of great
She was
information
virtual.
happening.
We have to bring
But
her back.
All County Healthcare under new ownership.
New ownership.
Anything changed with the new ownership?
No, just trying to grow. I think when one partner buys out the other partner, they spend a little bit of money, so they want to grow it back and just continue to serve more clients. So just bringing on new people.
What areas do you service?
We service Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade counties, and we're actively expanding right now. So our next office we'll be opening up is in Port St. Lucie.
Do you only you do aids as well? So
Yeah, we do AIDS.
you also have nursing care. You have the IPV, but you'll help with aids for just hanging whatever people need if they're home, maybe not even driving, but just to, I don't want to say babysit, but to watch.
Yeah, companion care we like to call it, and that can be, we have a minimum of just like 4 hours a day, 3 days a week. You could start there. We have some people that have live-in aides that, caregivers that are with them around the clock. And then we have every discipline of therapy. So we have speech, physical, occupational, and because of Ed Salazar, we're very unique in that we offer respiratory therapy and nursing services across the board. It's hit or miss whether a agency will take patients with a psychiatric diagnosis, but we have a psych nursing division at All County. So we like to say we're a full stack agency.
A lot of information.
Yeah, it's funny, when they interview you, I think it's from Medicare or whatever, they interview you to see if you're competent, I guess, right? And my father didn't speak English very well. This was in Puerto Rico. So the lady shows up, 10 minutes, 20 minutes late, whatever it was, shows up, and she's talking to me in English. And I said, no, you ain't talking to me. You got to talk to him. So she tried talking to him. So every other word was, huh? Because my father couldn't hear. So I said, she asked me, did you set this up? Because can he hear me? I said, he doesn't hear well. He doesn't see well, he doesn't hear well. It's the reason you're here. So by the end of the conversation, she wasn't getting any responses to him because he didn't know what the hell, he didn't understand what the hell she was asking him. And they said, nah, he doesn't qualify. I
That's
was
crazy.
like, you gotta be kidding me.
Ed is totally crazy. But All County does fantastic work.
Thank
Terrific
you.
quality of care people.
Really appreciate that.
Really, really nice. I mean, it's saved. And as the child, when your parents are going through it, if you are working or you are not in the area or you have your own family and you cannot take care of your parents 24/7, it is a huge relief to know that your loved ones are being taken care of. And it's a huge relief to know that if they need that care, the kids don't have to say, oh my gosh, where are we going to find the money because mom and dad or dad need this help. So you call Paul and you find out the finances and you can put that in place. How long does it take to put some of these programs in place, Paul?
Depending upon what we're going for. I mean, if we're going for even
Let's get closer to your mic, please.
Sorry, if we're going to qualify for Medicaid, I've qualified people in as quick as 30 days. Could take 6 months. I mean, it's anywhere in between depending upon the situation at hand. If they're going for a reverse mortgage, kind of 40 to 45 days, depending upon, again, if everybody's doing their job and staying on top of it. So the money could be, whether it's care and or money, it could be relatively quickly within 60 days to get it working.
Wow.
The sooner you start, the sooner you end, as they
Right.
say, right?
Pretty remarkable.
It is, and there's a whole lot of information that you guys shared with us today, which is amazing. I'm floored. Some of the stuff I heard today, I'm floored. But give these gentlemen a call and start. And again, I'm going to say it for the 5th time. If you're planning on applying for Social Security today, don't do it. Just stop. You can do it tomorrow. Give Paul a call, let him summarize or meet with you and let him tell you what it is. I hope that you get 100 phone calls And you can't get to everybody because it's that vital.
It's what now, 67, not 65, right?
Social Security is 67, yes.
So
Yes, you could
push
get
it-
it before. Again, you can take it before. You're kind of penalized a little bit, but maybe you need to take it before. If you can wait to 70, great. So it really depends on the family, the situation, your income, and where your other assets are, because maybe they're not coming through to a certain time where you can turn it on. So you have to wait.
And if you have a home, condos don't count either?
Condos don't work.
But
Condos don't work.
Only homes.
Homes, villas, townhouses.
So if you have that kind of material, there's some other choices that you can make that will help alleviate some of the problems we're having.
Have you learned a lot today? I think the Social Security thing, we both looked at you and said, what?
Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
mean, Clayton, this is crazy. Your spouse, may, if they're eligible for $2,200 and they file for it, you as the spouse are entitled to half of it. Another half.
I know that.
Not half of it, another half.
Right.
So one gets $2,200 and then the spouse gets $1,100, for example. And if that $1,100 is more than theirs, they can opt for the higher amount. It's like a let's make a deal.
Yeah, but if you do, you got to do it when he opts in.
You got to do it when you file.
Because
Correct.
otherwise, how long you got? 24, 48 hours, and then that's it? Choice
Yeah, I
is
mean, it
okay.
used to where you could pay it back, actually. So let's say you went a couple of years, and then somebody educated you enough to say, you know what, you can get more. Well, I believe you were able to pay back what you put in, if you had the money to pay back, and then start the new amount. They stopped that. And or you can't afford to do it, most of the people.
Can you still do that or no?
No, no.
You have to keep up to date on all of this. It's unbelievable, the information that's out there.
Yeah, and that's why I have a team, because I'm not in everything every day, but at least I know what to bring out to people. And then when I get the questions, I have my team that I go to say, okay, here's the situation, and every family is unique. This is what's going on. How can we help them? And that's the different teams that I work with.
And Clayton, will all county bill insurance or long-term care plans or Medicare, or does the patient have to bill it?
Yeah, if it's on the private side, we will bill the long-term care policy. And depending on some of the long-term care policies, sometimes they route the monies through the patient, and the patient pays us. And then if it's an order from a doctor, we're billing Medicare.
And that gets very complicated for the patient. I know, right? Paul? You're shaking your head.
Yeah, because people getting a check, they don't realize that they got to pay back.
Right.
Oh, I got another check. The insurance company's paying me. No, it's really got to pay the bill that you got that's been sitting there.
And is that because when the long-term care, this is really a question for both of you, is this because when the long-term care policy is set up, that is how it is set up for the patient to get the money versus the agency to get the money?
The patient sets that up. For instance, my mom's in an assisted living. I could have her long-term care pay the assisted living directly, or they can put it right into her checking account. Then I pay the assisted living.
So imagine
like
if
to have
you
the
weren't there
Correct.
and it was reliant on your mother
Right. Or
to
so
have to
that's-
take care of it. This
Right.
is when there's the issue. If the patient is sick, again, back to my dad, my mother does not do the computer.
Right.
So the money went from the insurance company to their bank account. Well, my dad was not well enough, nor was he going through the mail to then pay the agency that was providing care. And then the seniors get into this conflict. What do you mean you weren't paid? Well, this one paid you. There has to be a gatekeeper to all of this, because it's not through any fault of anyone's, except mostly you're dealing with senior population. They're not feeling well. Everyone wants to get paid and is well entitled to their money, but yet there's a miscommunication. Is there a way around any of this? Like maybe could you bill directly, or maybe we need a guardianship? I don't know. We need Justin here in this conversation.
So I don't know if you want to take that. I would say there's industry experts and consultants like Paul. Everybody is in their own unique situation if they don't have that family member involved. And then you really have to know your policy inside and out, and those things that you speak of, or those gaps in payment, or the status in the patient they're declining, and maybe none of their bills are getting paid. That stuff happens every single day. It is really good to have a case. If you don't have a family member, have a case manager. You have your advisor, your consultant, always on call. So, yeah, it's a sad thing to see, and it happens every day.
There is such a thing as a case manager for a private patient?
Well, geriatric care managers, it's a big business. I mean, you're paying them by the hour, and a lot of people, I recommend them to people that have family members out of state, and their loved ones are here, and they're coming out of the hospital, they don't know prescriptions, medications, where to put them. You hire a geriatric care manager. They're nurses. They go into the hospital and kind of walk them out to making sure that they're settled in the correct situation.
And that's
really
different than what
understanding
you
their
do.
benefits. Yeah, they're kind of this community, like Paul says, like say a situation where a family is not local.
Wow.
They are kind of reviewing those benefits, making sure they're getting the most. Things have to be communicated to all parties, and you hit the hospital bed, and the social worker doesn't know what they don't know. You know what I mean? So if a patient's not in a position to tell them and explain their benefits to them,
You know about this?
I know. I'm sitting here saying, what?
Everyone needs one of those also.
Correct. Yeah, people, I mean, it's amazing. There's a lot of help out there. Yes, things cost money. If you can afford it, they're priceless. They really are. I could say the same thing kind of about myself, too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information out there that people just don't know that I've accumulated between working in the field and also my family. And that's kind of how I want to educate people, because I see it all the time, whether it's a doctor's office, whether you go into the hospital, even in the assisted living. I just sit there and shake my head how people don't know what to ask, don't know what to say, leave it up to the quote-unquote professionals to take care of it, but they're not always right. I mean, I'm arguing with the doctor about a drug that my mom's taking that I don't think she needs to take. And I'm arguing with the doctor because I just see it's another cost that at 93 in the condition that she's in, is it really necessary? Is it really necessary at 93? I mean, she's dementiaed out, sitting in a chair. I love her, but that gets to a certain point where, come on, what are we prolonging here? There is no quality of life.
It's a whole nother
It's
side of
funny.
the conversation.
In
yeah.
Puerto Rico, the pharmacies did not talk to one another. So my mother used to play the pill game. So let me get this pill at this pharmacy, this
Right.
pharmacy, this pharmacy. So she played that game, right? So Linda went in, we found all these pills. So we brought them home when she came here. And she tried to play that game here, and the pharmacist caught her. He says, you can't take these pills. You can't take these 2 pills, you're gonna kill yourself.
Because we finally have a national drug system that monitors everything, but we didn't always have that here. This is relatively recent.
Honey, I am looking at my grandmother sitting in a chair with a TV, a sandwich, and a soda,
That's
and that
home
was
care.
health care.
That's home care.
That was it. That's it. And see you later, Grandma.
Wow. Well, what a great show, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. We're actually going to edit it and re-air it, I think, tomorrow on radio.
Tomorrow, yes, absolutely. I
Thanks
think
for
this
having
has to
us.
get out.
Really important information.
Yeah, every time I see this guy, something else lights up.
And we see you a lot, but yet there's always more information.
There's
This
always
is
more.
unbelievable,
That's what I love
Paul.
about this. Yeah, that's what I love. It's endless. It really is endless.
You know, you got a few other tricks in your bag. Let me know.
Clayton, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to our studio, our little corner of the world now that you found it.
it's my pleasure. I really appreciate you guys inviting me.
All County Healthcare is fantastic. They've taken care of my parents. They've been a longtime client of yours. Always
I remember.
there.
Your mom was in the hospital. We made a phone call that morning.
And I think Maddie was there.
And Maddie was there that afternoon and was all
Yep.
taken care of. It's good to have friends
And they are in Broward County. And as a matter of fact, my mom refers people to All County all the time.
all the time.
So because everyone knows Maddie. Maddie can never leave.
I know.
She's burnt the ship. She's on the island. She's with us
She
forever.
is definitely at the helm of the ship. Ready to wrap this up?
Ready to go?
All right, for more information, always contact us here at the cafe, 866-224-5422. We will get you all of the information for all of the incredible clients and friends that we have join us here at the show. Tomorrow, we are actually going to be live at Lynn University.
Yes,
so we'll see
gonna
what
go
happens with
talk
that.
to Lynn students.
We're going to recut up this show and looking for some more interns. So if you are an intern in the area of communications or mass media and you are looking for some summer experience, let us know. Tonight we've got Jordana Foster, Ready, Set, Go Beyond. We also have part 2 of Dr. Alex Earle's interview on BBL, the Brazilian butt lift, the safety of it versus the South Beach butt lift, which
Ouch.
hides the scars. So interesting interview coming to you tonight at 7 o'clock on WNN.
That's good stuff.
All right. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Stay safe. Tune in to Rebooted the podcast coming to you at 3 o'clock. And we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Don't be late.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's about it for today. Even though the show's over, the Brooklyn Cafe is always open for business. You're invited to join the fun every day from 12 to 2. If you missed some of the laughs from today, Dawn and Freddie S. will bring you more good cheer next time. You can follow the Brooklyn Cafe on Facebook at the Brooklyn Cafe TV to rewatch every minute of the show. We'll see you next time.
In the cold and sleepless nights, I wait for you to bring me back to life. In my electric eyes, it doesn't mean that time can thicken every single breath. I want to unfreeze my heart and fly away. That's why I wanna save it. Your moons and craters. Open up my eyes, waterfalls of ice, sweeping me away like an avalanche. Helpless as I fall, the words can't say it all. Sweeping me away like an avalanche, like an avalanche. I listen for a sound, waiting deep inside my maze of sweeping thrills and colors. Just a ray of light, bathing me in drops of ink that gleams across my body. Wish you could unfreeze my heart and